Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sheep Get Sheared podcast, where here we talk about people, politics, and popular culture. I'm your host, Austin Creed, and my friends, I normally do a show in the mornings, but quite frankly, I've been hit with a bug or something. I don't know what's going on, but I've been just bunkering down the last couple of hours to honestly the whole day. But, when I have an off day like today, my routine is a little thrown off. So I took the opportunity to spend a little more time on X, Twitter. And I gotta tell you, the amount of propaganda that I see is just crazy. I mean, for God's sakes, it's insane to me how much propaganda we're surrounded by. Like, I know during a time of war, conflict, there's bound to be some propaganda. There's going to be some half-truths, hearsay, fake news, whatever, I get it. But it's so shocking to me when I'm a history buff, all right? And when I look at very recent history, for people in my generation of Gen Z, even the millennials, World War II seems like a long time ago. It really wasn't. Holocaust, really not that long ago in the grand scheme of human history. And yet you have people talking about Palestine from the mountains to the sea. You have people talking about how it's the Jews that are no good. It's Israel who's got to go. And I think to myself, wow. This is happening during my lifetime. This is exactly how things started in Germany back in the day. And I see it from people who are considered minorities. They do not realize that once the Jews we have been the canary in the coal mine, especially with World War II. And I know when people talk about World War II, you start thinking about your history teacher and you immediately are just like, I'm not listening. I'm tired. I don't want to. I'm bored already. I'm already listening to something else or trying to find something that's not boring. Look, this is a very serious topic. Propaganda is everywhere, and it's saturating, and that's actually not completely a bad thing. And the reason I say that is because it's coming from all sides. If it was only coming from one side, that would be an entirely different issue. But when I look at how many people try to simplify very complex topics, and I'm guilty of this too sometimes, by the way. I admit I have emotions. I'm not a complete sociopath, counter to what some people might believe. I have emotions, and I sometimes react in a way that I should never do. However, when it comes to people talking about supporting Hamas, being pro-Palestine and whatnot, did they not realize that Hamas are the Nazis in headscarves? Do they not realize that? It's one thing to say, hey, I just want there to be peace. Peace is patriotic. There's no question about that. The problem is people want Israel to take an L, as historically everybody's always wanted, because they think that satisfying the monsters and the animals in Palestine or in Iran or anywhere else, they think that pacifying them is the best way to ensure world peace, when in fact the exact opposite is true. The problem is most people don't actually read history. They read whatever influencer tells them to think. They read whatever is just convenient for them, or whatever, comes down their timeline. And most of it is propaganda from either A, the Democrat Party, B, your friendly Muslims in the Middle East, or it's from know-nothing morons, who are just influencers, ex-porn stars, whoever. They think that they're smart. They think because they have a following over 10,000 people that they are immediately Einstein, or that they are immediately an expert in everything. Look, I get it. I probably sound bitter. This is a personal issue for me. I am not going to pretend like I'm an unbiased party. I'm not going to pretend that. I know where I stand on this issue. The problem is I see such fake garbage coming out against the Jews that I haven't seen since the Holocaust, since the Nazis. Goebbels would be so proud of these people. Goebbels would be so proud. You know what makes me sick? Let's compare, I get it. This is a very small issue to most people. I understand that. You know what? What can I add to this that hasn't been said? I mean, let's just be honest. People spend day and night talking about this. What propaganda story is pissing you off the most? What is it when you see on social media? What gets your goat? What gets you so angry that you're willing to react or say something? What is it that kind of gets your goat that's in the news right now? Or what is it that's just bothering you in the world today? I cannot believe, even when it comes to Joe Biden, I mean, for God's sakes, the dude is a monster, and the people who are running him are even worse than he is. The problem is they're so smart because they don't go for the older, educated people. No. They go for people of my generation. They go for people in their early 20s, late teens. They go for them, and they use their fake morality code of caring about everybody. You know what shocks me when it comes to people just caring about people for the sake of caring and virtue signaling? I see these pro-Palestine protests, and a lot of these people who support them are LGBTQ people. Do they not realize what Muslims do, fanatical ones do to people who are of a certain sexual orientation, gender identity, whatever you want to say? Are they unaware of what these people do to them? I'd recommend that anyone who's a part of the rainbow riding community and they support Palestine, I personally think that you should go to the people you love so much and see how they treat you and see how they accept your pronouns and your feelings and your safe spaces. I can't wait to hear about that. That'd be a great documentary, except it would never actually be aired. It would just be a bunch of even worse propaganda. My friends, the whole point of this show is for me to ask you to open your eyes. I don't pretend to be right about everything. I just have a big mouth and an educated mind. But what I want you to do is I want you to think for yourself, and I don't want you to be gulled by these people. I don't want you to be gulled into thinking that something is right because it feels right to believe it. And I'm talking both to you and to me. For example, going back to the Israel-Palestine conflict going on right now, I'm not saying that Israel is always right about everything. Everybody is just people, okay? Everybody's fallible. However, I don't understand how you can support people who call for the killing or converting of everybody who isn't them. The women's movement supports, them. The feminists somehow support Palestine, even though they're graping women and hurting them. And don't tell that to the feminists and marching around the world for them right now. The people with the pink hair and 15 nose rings, nipple rings, tongue rings, you name it. They think that they would last a week in these countries, but they wouldn't. They would just be discarded, which I don't think should happen at all. It's just a reality check for people. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. And I don't think a lot of people learned that growing up as I did. Good intentions are great. The problem is the execution of said idealism. And when you're surrounded by propaganda that's compelling you to react in an emotional way, and foregoing your logic, which has allowed our ancestors to survive so that you could be alive, you suddenly start to realize why things are the way they are, because people act emotionally. I implore you, do not act impulsively, do not act emotionally. If something bothers you, I would recommend you put the phone down, you put yourself down, as in you sit down and you think and you calm down. You either go work out, you go cool down before you respond. Give yourself a window, whether it's 2 hours, whether it's a day. You need to give yourself time to not fall and take the bait. No, don't be a schmuck and take the bait. Do not be a schmuck and take the bait like a guppy in a fish tank, because then they will reel you in with the hook, and before you know it, you'll be like, huh, how'd this happen? I don't even know why I believe this, but I do, because it feels right. The feelings have brought us to our knees, and the schmendricks who are pushing it are very smart. They're not stupid. They're very, very clever. The problem is, as our education system is going downhill, the emotional campaigns are getting increasingly more conniving and deceptive. I believe it was Sun Tzu who said that the battle is won before the fight. And that could not be more accurate when you look at the fact that most people's minds are made up before they've seen both sides of the story. And believe me, I've seen both sides of the story. I have sympathy for the Palestinian people, by the way. They're basically run by the Have you ever seen the movie The Godfather with, Don Corleone and all that? That's essentially who runs Palestine. They're run by a bunch of gangsters who drive Lambos while their people ride on donkeys, and then have the nerve to use all of the pain and suffering that people go through as propaganda to get people on their team. Oh, yeah. Oh, and then they don't even reside in the country. They go hide in Turkey or Iran or somewhere else. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. It's happening. Look it up. It's true. But people don't realize that, yes, there is suffering. However, hot air has not worked with tyrants. We've seen this going back God knows how long. It didn't work with Saddam. It didn't work. It's not working with Kim Jong-un. It's not working with Putin. It's not working with any of these people. And yet for some reason they think that, peace is just a magical solution. No, peace is important, yes. However, if you don't make sure that justice is actually served, your peace will be synthetic and fake, and it will only lead to even worse, bitter conflict. But again, it goes back to the propaganda that's being pushed everywhere that you look, everywhere that you listen, everywhere that you interact with. It's everywhere. And I want you to be aware of what is being pushed your way, because these algorithms are very, very smart. They know what you want to hear, and they'll give it to you, and you'll think that that's the whole story, when in fact you're wrong. So I want you to remain vigilant, and I want you to make sure you get the whole story, and then react in a logical, coherent way, instead of in an abrasive, emotional way. My friends, we live in a time that's saturated with what people want you to think, what they want you to believe, what they want you to hold dear. And I don't want you to believe in something that you don't actually think to be true. You just want other people to like you. The peer pressure is so strong too, and it ties into propaganda. There's multiple different avenues. If you've ever taken a public relations class, whether in college, high school, or even for fun and looked it up online, you would see that public relations and propaganda are very closely linked. And that is exactly why we see so much of it coming from politicians and various people in power and in the media. My friends, stay vigilant and do not take the bait. And don't be a schmuck and take the bait. Be a wise man and sit yourself down and think about things logically. God bless all of you. God bless your families. God bless America. We will make it through this. Remember to stay vigilant and not give in to peer pressure and propaganda. I love all of you. Peace out.